Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 7 of Office Hours Hot for Teacher. It's a relationship advice show. That's right. I'm giving out the advice. You're having feelings, you're having relationships, and you're like, I don't know what to do with all these feelings. You're like that dude with the lemon from the memes. And I am here to help you carry all those lemons. This isn't going to make any sense to anyone who watches this in like 5 years. You're going to be the guy with the lemons. What the hell is that I'm talking about? What is Hot for Teacher? Hot for Teacher is a write-in relationship advice show. It is a spin-off of the call-in tabletop RPG game mastering advice show, Office Hours. Every week here on Hot for Teacher, I answer 3 questions from you. Yes, you, my lovely audience, submitted in advance to www.adam-koebel.com/hot-for-teacher. These are questions about sex. They're questions about love. They're questions about friendship, relationships, Twitch chat, and other related quandaries of human interaction. What I want to do before we get started is the same thing that I do before we get started every week, and that's remind you that Hot for Teacher is not meant to be the beginning and the end of all relationship conversations. You should be having relationship conversations with the people you are in relationships with. Talk to your friends about your feelings, about them and others. Talk to your loved ones. Get in the habit of talking and conversing and, more importantly, listening to people. If we all make a little bit of room for listening, then we're all going to do a lot better with our emotional lemons. Speaking of lemons, today's first question comes from Lemon Pie, and it's a big one. There's a lot here, so I will read it to you. I will say this before I get into Lemon Pie's question here. They have done what many of you have done, in that sometimes it can be difficult to feel like you are being understood. Sometimes it can be difficult to feel like you are being understood without providing a lot of detail. And unlike in Office Hours, I'm less comfortable truncating your questions. So, I mean, this is about as long as a question can fit on my screen. I have got questions that are longer than this, but I try not to edit you too much, my friends. So let me introduce you to Lemon Pie's quandary, and then we will dig in. So Lemon Pie says, the person that I am dating, let's call them Anna, which is weird for me because I know an Anna. And it was really hard for me not to imagine her. This Lemon Pie is not Jeff, I don't think. Anyway, the person that I am dating, Anna, is still in frequent contact with, considers a friend, and has a life legally tied up with her ex. This ex was a cheating, emotionally abusive partner, but refuses to address the issue of their shared assets, etc., because their mental health is apparently too poor to allow that. Anna is an incredible person who still cares deeply for her ex and doesn't want to push the issue because she fears they will spiral further into depression. For that same reason, she also hasn't informed them about her relationship with me, which has now been going on for over a year. I absolutely do not have a problem with people being friends with their exes. In fact, I think it's a great idea, as long as it's honest. I'm pretty uncomfortable, however, that the ex does not know about me and Anna, because regardless of their previous actions, I would hate for them to be hurt due even in part to my actions. I love Anna. I do too. And want what's best for her. I both understand and disagree with her decision not to tell her ex about our relationship, but I feel like there's nothing I can do without losing her. I don't want to be that person who says it's me or them, because fuck that controlling, emotionally manipulative bullshit. I just wish this situation could be a bit more honest and open. So far, I have tried just to be supportive and let her work through this stuff, but it's getting to the point where it's gone on for too long, and I'm too emotionally invested to walk away. So I guess my question is, what would you do in my situation? So, Lemon Pie, you sound delicious, by the way. So Lemon Pie, to sum up the issue, as I see it, just to make sure we're on the same page about what's going on, here's how I see it. You are in a romantic relationship with someone, with Anna, this Anna person. You and Anna in a romantic relationship. And they, Anna, is in a non-romantic relationship with someone else. The relationship that isn't you and Anna, so Anna and her ex, has a bad history, but there's caring there and also some mental health stuff. Your relationship with Anna is not being disclosed because of that stuff, and it's making you feel the bad feelings. I think that basically covers it. Now, this is one of these questions that I really wish that I could ask the asker more about, right? Lemon Pie, I want to know what parts of this, because this is complex enough to warrant all this explanatory stuff, right? This is complex enough that I wish that I could ask you more about what things are making you feel bad. Like, I'm hearing that you're upset that your relationship with Anna is being obfuscated from this third party, but I wish I could better understand why. Like, it also sounds like you're a little angry about this person, right? You use the phrase apparently when you're describing, I mean, you said the ex is a cheating, emotionally abusive person, which I mean, now I don't like them. You say they refuse to address an issue that's causing you some trouble. And you say because their mental health is apparently too poor to allow that, which implies to me you don't believe it. You sound a bit angry. And that's not a judgment. It's not that you shouldn't sound angry if you are. It's just, I'm feeling like there's a subtext here that maybe either you're not aware of or you didn't explicitly mention. I would love to dig into some of that with you. It's possible you're feeling jealous of the relationship that they have. It sounds like maybe you're feeling left out, right? And that you want your relationship to be something that Anna addresses and talks about openly, even to people who might be upset about it, like this ex. It might be that there's a hierarchy of emotional needs that has developed here, and you want to be here, but you are down here somewhere. And that's a bummer. Hierarchies fucking suck, and it sucks especially when you're here and you want to be up here. By hiding your relationship in favor of protecting this other person, this ex, Anna is implicitly telling you, or maybe you're in... This is a tricky thing, the difference between implication and inference. You are at least inferring that you are not as important as they are. It could also be that there's some residual stuff around this person just being the ex, right? Maybe you want to feel validated and secure in your position as someone in a relationship with Anna. You want that to feel safe, and part of what's making it feel unsafe is that maybe you don't feel like it's real. And that is a bummer also. I really want to know more about what it is in this situation that's causing that thorny, this sucks, I'm feeling hurt feeling. Because for me, the way this might go and what I might do could vary really differently from what you might do, because it's all about the feelings that you're having and why this is bad. Because looking at it, I don't think that it is clear. I think the situation you were describing, if we took out all the emotional stuff that you're feeling, which we're not going to do, but if we did, hypothetically, if we took out your reaction to it and just looked at it, this is a totally acceptable form of relationship. Disclosure is a choice, not a given. Not talking about something does not make you dishonest. There's some subtext, but this could be workable, except that it's not, because you don't feel good. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about you and to help you get to a place where you can feel better about this situation. I think that there's a fair bit of normative assumption that gets placed on situations like this. The assumptions about how we're supposed to interact with our exes, how much of a relationship is supposed to be visible. I'm going to try not to fall victim to that normative stuff. Now, there's some assumptions around monogamy, which you haven't said that you are. You know, we haven't established that you're monogamous with this person, but monogamy assumes that the new must in some significant way supplant and deflect the old, right? Assumptions about quantity and quality of intimacy vis-a-vis information and acknowledgement. There's this idea that a relationship has to be publicly acknowledged or it isn't real or valid. But honestly, and this is going to seem weird, but none of the details that you provided here, Lemon Pie, actually matter. I know that sounds weird. This person is having mental health stuff. Anna is a caring person. There's a romantic history. Like, yes, there's context there, but fundamentally, it's not really the issue. The real issue here, Lemon Pie, is a person I care about is doing a thing I don't like. Now, all this, the drive to equivocate and look at things as being big and complex, I think it's safe and it's smart and a good idea to take time to understand the details. But I think to answer this question without any more information about your emotional state, I think you might just be overcomplicating things. We can really boil this down to asking yourself how much of a need having your relationship acknowledged is for you. Is it something that you're willing to end the relationship over? Right? You talk about being too invested to walk away. Right? I don't think anyone in any relationship should ever feel sunk cost fallacy vis-a-vis another person, right? It is never too late to walk away. You could be married, you could have kids, you could have fused your genetic material. The two of you could be part of a symbiotic Venom Eddie Brock type relationship, and you can still blow that sound cannon and separate yourselves, right? You can be free, Eddie. You don't have to be in this relationship. Now, I know that it's easy for me to say that, and this is the equivalent of like, this is why I don't like Savage Love very much, because I feel like Dan Savage, author and host of Savage Love, often jumps immediately to just dump the person and get the fuck out of there. And I think that's valid, but I would like us to work through that a little bit first. So I'm not going to tell you just to bail, but I am telling you that what you should do is think about whether or not you're willing to end this relationship over this particular thing. Is being with Anna something that supersedes the negative stuff you feel, knowing she won't talk about you with her ex? If this never changed, do you still want to be in this relationship? I think ultimatums suck. I think it sucks to be in that position. Ultimatums are difficult because they're almost always phrased wrong, or at least their intent is couched in this weird external pressure, right? Like, we shouldn't be telling people, you have to choose between X thing and your relationship with me. We don't get to make that call to people. The responsible way to phrase this is, I have a problem with this situation. I have thought about it and done some work to understand my feelings, and I have come to the conclusion that the relationship we're in, for me, is untenable as it stands. I need you to do the same work and figure out if, for you, maintaining the situation as is more important to you than continuing our relationship. Please let me know what you decide. Much less violent than do what I want or fuck off, right? You're asking them to think about things the way that you have. The idea here is that the problem isn't just something they're doing. It's about you establishing a boundary and taking responsibility for your needs instead of just saying, fix it or go away. You're asking the person you care about and who, I hope, cares about you to hear what you're saying and to tell you where her boundaries are. People are often afraid of establishing boundaries, being firm, right, and expressing what they need because they're afraid of losing control of the situation. If you say, please decide if protecting your ex's emotions is more important to you than helping me feel comfortable and happy, there is a chance that Anna will say, I pick them. Them, not you. This person is more, this is more important. Protecting my ex's feelings, working through that stuff with them, more important than you and our relationship. Sorry, I guess. Like, you have to be ready for that to happen. You have to get okay with that. And here's why it's not about like self-esteem or not caring about the relationship you're in. It's about the fear of loss and how fucked up being afraid of losing something can make us. Like, if you are already too afraid to establish a boundary because Anna might say no, your whole relationship is already existing under this weird, awful tension, right? It doesn't make anything better by pretending that your boundaries aren't being violated. You're just not doing it in a way that is helpful to you, right? If you've decided that you're not okay with this, but you're going along with it, continuing, not saying anything, you're fucking both of you up. For a relationship to work and for a relationship to be healthy, we have to trust the people we care about. And part of that trust is being able to believe that they will tell us when there is a need unmet. Anna needs to trust you to have boundaries. We don't have to expect people to meet our needs just because we have them, but we have to be able to trust them to say no to the things that they don't want. Anna does not owe you anything. Anna doesn't owe you a privileged position over her relationship with her ex. Anna doesn't owe you security of mind. Anna doesn't owe you acknowledgement. Anna does not owe you reassurance. All of that stuff is really nice and important and significant. I'm not downplaying that you should want those things, Lemon Pie. They are real as fuck. But you have to ask for it. In this situation, Anna has to want to do those things. Okay, I want to recontextualize this for you. I want to help you maybe imagine it another way. Anna and her ex used to play Magic the Gathering together. Now, you and Anna are playing Magic the Gathering together. Anna does not play Magic the Gathering with her ex anymore. Anna has not told her ex you are playing Magic together because that would make them feel sad. Does this feel different to you? We think somehow that because it is a romantic relationship, there is a demand. There is a inherent requirement that we be acknowledged in some special way, right? We just think that romantic relationships are somehow special because of social and emotional tweaking. Now, I'm not saying it can't be different or the same, right? Maybe you feel really strongly about people knowing that you and Anna play Magic the Gathering together. Or maybe you are the kind of person, now Lemon Pie obviously isn't, but maybe you are the kind of person that doesn't care if the people you're in romantic relationships with spread that information around. I just want to point out that there is some external normative stuff happening here that's making you feel worse than maybe you have to. Like, a way out of this might be that you're just, you get over it and you're okay with your relationship with Anna being a private thing between the two of you and whoever else knows, but not this person. Maybe your relationship with Anna is worth to you the effort that it takes to keep your relationship hidden and still feel good about yourself with Anna. Does your relationship security depend on Anna telling everyone that the two of you are playing Magic the Gathering? Or is it that this person is her ex that makes you feel that way? What if she wasn't telling anyone at all? Listen, I want to give you more specific advice here, but it really just feels like you're scared to put a boundary up, and maybe there's more to it, but I don't have access to that. The fact that Anna's ex is abusive emotionally means that it could be dangerous for Anna to tell this person that she is in a relationship. People who are abusive maintain control through a lot of really negative, fucked up parameters. And Anna may be just trying to protect herself and is too afraid to say this to you. And it's easier just to say, I'm doing it for this person. It's complicated. So here's what I will say. I think that you need to sit with your feelings and have them. Just like let yourself feel that stuff and get to know those feelings well enough to make that decision about whether they're fucking up your happiness in a severe way or not. I need you to be brave. I need you to tell Anna how you're feeling. And not just in an I am sharing this way, but in a this is a boundary. If this continues, I have to choose not to be in this relationship kind of way. Now, this isn't a threat. This isn't a manipulation technique. You do not tell people about your boundaries to get them to change their behavior. You state your needs about your desires and what you want in the relationship, and then take responsibility for that. Talk with Anna about it. The other bullshit thing about ultimatum style communication is that it's so terminal, right? You put a line in the sand and no more talking can occur, right? Do X or fuck off. There is no more discussion. Ultimatums are a lawful evil way of handling your relationship. Now, maybe your boundaries will change as the situation changes. Maybe Anna will say, I am scared to tell this person about this for fear of my own emotional safety, which might change your outlook on your own boundaries. But keep that conversation going. Don't agree to things and don't make choices that make you feel bad. I know you're feeling big feelings about this whole thing, but your well-being is more important than your relationship with Anna. Let me say that again. Your well-being and happiness, more important than your relationship with this person. Your well-being is more important than any relationship, period. End of story. So I suppose the do or die question here is one you have to ask yourself. Can you tolerate this? If you can, fucking great. Do it. Keep on keeping on, but do not use this as emotional leverage. If you have accepted that this is the way things are, do so and move on. If you cannot tolerate this, either it needs to change or you need to change the relationship such that it's a non-issue for you. And that's the thing. This doesn't have to mean the end of your relationship with Anna, but one way or another, you both need to make a change. Just be ready for the idea that you might not get your needs met. That's just the reality of dealing with other humans. They have different priorities than we do. I hope things work out okay, and that you and Anna's ex can come to a place where you can all coexist that isn't doing any harm to anyone. It sounds super complicated. Stick up for yourself, know what you need, and be the person that gets that done. Because no one else is going to do it for you. Even the people you love. It's not their job. It's your job. You do it. Question number 2 comes to us from Neil Pert? Neil Pert asks, I find myself a part of a lot of the Twitch communities that have rallied around streamers. However, it's hard to afford so many subscriptions and keep up with donations and basically maintain this relationship with these streamers. Do you think this is a failure of the Twitch platform, the streamers and their audiences, or mine for being broke? Do you have any advice for how to feel included without having the disposable income to throw at streamers to have your voice heard? First of all, Neil Pert, YYZ is super good, man. Your drumming is fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Neil Pert. Canada loves you. We love you. Rush is the best. Second of all, being broke is never something you should look at like it is a character flaw. Not having money isn't the same as having a bad temper or being mean to servers at a restaurant. Not having money is punishment enough for being broke, okay? Don't beat yourself up because you're poor. Now, let's lay out what old Neil Peart, drummer of Rush, is talking about here a bit more specifically. Many Twitch broadcasters have the option for their viewers to pay a monthly subscription fee in exchange for emotes to use in chat, a badge indicating their inclusion to the subscribers' community, and then potentially other benefits like getting to watch recorded broadcasts and some other stuff built into Twitch. In addition, some Twitch broadcasters incentivize subscription with additional benefits, right? Access to elements of community that only subscribers can take part in, like special Discord servers, participation in special subscriber-only community events, that sort of thing. So there's the Twitch level stuff. Then there's the social level stuff that the subscriber or the broadcaster sets up for the subscriber. Subscription for most broadcasters who do this for a living is the single most important form of support that any viewer can give. Every single subscription matters to a broadcaster because money is what allows us to pay our bills, to perform upkeep on the equipment that lets us work, and keeps us fed and healthy. It's a big deal, broken down into lots or a few of $5, $10, or $25 increments. Now, because it is so important to keeping us alive and doing our job, a lot of broadcasters really want to both reward their subscribers and encourage new subscriptions. And there are all sorts of rituals that surround this process, from entire streams dedicated to generating new subscriptions down to these micro rewards of just saying thank you when someone subscribes or renews. Subscribing and participating in these rituals can feel really good and can reinforce a positive relationship between the subscriber and the streamer, and also the subscriber and their new community, or the community they're renewing their commitment to. Not being able to subscribe can feel like an exclusion, a negation based on our inability or unwillingness to pay to be a part of something. And that feeling is where it gets all insidious and difficult for folks on both sides of the screen. When someone gives me money via a channel subscription, I always try to say thank you. I say, welcome to the math squad, or welcome back to the squad. But the thing is, and this community is built this way intentionally, you were always there all along. It can be really tempting as a broadcaster to have these big incentives to pay for entry, but if we go too hard on them and focus only on the people who are able to subscribe, we're committing a pretty significant injustice to everyone, including ourselves. Saying you're only really part of the community if you pay to be isn't just shitty and exclusive, it's classist. It's a way of saying poor people aren't welcome here. I've always tried to keep this approach to let people know that whether they're paying me to do this or not, whether they're a lapsed sub or they've never subbed or they're 3 years solid month to month keeping me paid, they're all a part of the community. There are absolutely benefits to subscribing because I am a realist and Twitch is a monetized platform, and I want to encourage and reward folks for their subscriptions, for their contribution. But I've always tried to treat subscribers and non-subscribers like they are all part of the space that we have created here. The thing is, part of why I can do that, because as broadcasters go, while my sub community isn't small by any means, it's not enormous either. I can treat the whole lot of you as baseline equals from an engagement standpoint because it's not that taxing for me. I don't have to skim the non-subscribers off the top to be able to engage and to pay attention. Now, for some broadcasters, the subscription is the baseline amount of shits one needs to give to be a real person in the community. And that doesn't sit right with me, but my reality isn't that way, you know? I can only speak to my own experience. My subscribers are near and dear to me because they're the ones that mean I can come here and sit in this chair and talk to you about relationships and do what has become my job. Subscribers are a fundamental and integral part of the community at large, too. They are important to each other, right? The subs are important to each other, and they're important to lurkers, and they're important to fans who can't pay because they're paying to keep the doors on and the lights open. They're paying the food bills. They're keeping this space warm in the cold Canadian winter. So if you can subscribe, you subscribe because you care about the space, or you like me, or you want the emotes, and because you're able to provide that way. If you can't pay, it does not mean you aren't contributing. Maybe you chat. Maybe you engage with the other folks in the space. Maybe you're part of the Discord. Maybe you just tell your friends about roleplay and Roll20 and my streams. And maybe you don't do any of that stuff. Maybe you just silently lurk, saying and contributing nothing more complex than a number on the viewer count. All of that stuff is a valid contribution. All of it. Even the not saying anything is valid. The real trick here is that we're getting community, which is like a loose emotive thing, mixed up with capitalism, which is a very clear pay for thing, get thing approach, right? There is a, you get the things you get when you subscribe. You get emotes. No question about that. You get access to sub-only chat. You get all of the technical stuff, clearly and obviously. But what we're talking about here is the emotive stuff, this feeling of belonging. And I think that this is why we have all these sort of laissez-faire emotional marketplaces, right? Twitch could certainly adjust the kinds of things you get for being a subscriber, but most of that doesn't feel like it's about community to me. The reinforcement of subscription as ticket to community tends to be on the streamer end. The way we choose to include or not include, incentivize or not incentivize varies based on all kinds of factors as broadcasters. You know, size, engagement, the kinds of people we have in our chat, right? Like, I tend to broadcast from a fairly safe place, which is to say, like, as a man on the internet, it's a fairly safe place for me. So I don't have to worry as much about non-subscriber sort of trolls wandering into chat and being dirtbags. Some people use subscription as a gate to say, like, look, I want to trust you, but this is the only tool I have that will allow me to do that, right? There are still some people who are willing to pay to be skeezy trolls, but that's how it goes, right? There isn't, we use the tools that we have available. For me, I mean, you can see what my community is like. I'll say this. I will say this. I don't like the idea of community and pay being the same, right? The only gated community space that I have around subscribing is the subscriber domain in the Discord channel or in the Discord server. But the only reason that I have that is because that's where I talk about subscriber related stuff, like VODs and like which emotes should we have and those kinds of things, right? So you're not alone. I think a lot of folks feel the same way about their subscriptions that you do, right? They're excited to be able to use the ones they can afford to engage. They're happy to donate or cheer when they can. And sometimes they feel guilty when a subscription lapses or they can't participate in a donation marathon or they're unable to sub. While our emotions are fundamentally our own responsibility, it's nice to have some reassurance, right? So as long as you're doing stuff and you're engaging with the content and the community, you're welcome and you're a part of things, whether you paid for it or not. But I know that all communities are not the same. And I can't speak directly for other broadcasters, but I can tell you that if someone is making you feel bad, if someone is like, oh, you should subscribe or you're not really welcome here, fuck them. Seriously. Like it's, like I said, it's classist. My inner Marxist hates that attitude. And also it's just mean, right? I feel like subscriptions are a way to say, I want more of this, meaning the person doing their thing, the chat community being there and existing. It's a way of saying, I want more of this enough to pay for it. There is that insidious capitalism thing where it's like pay, show that you love something with your money, right? But you're not saying by subscribing that you want a relationship with a person. Whatever anyone might say, you can't buy a relationship. You can use money to reinforce one. We do this all the time, right? Traveling to see someone you care about, that's using money to reinforce a relationship. Buying someone a gift because you care about them, that's using money to reinforce a relationship. Going to a movie with someone, eating a meal with someone you have to pay for. All of those things are a money to relationship conversion situation. But you can't buy a relationship. Right, unless you're a Burning Wheel character, in which case you have to. Which means that if it feels like that's what's going on, there is some confusion at play. Anyway, I don't think anyone is at fault here exactly. The feeling of inclusion and inclusion being tied to money and all of that is a big old mess for everyone involved. If you want to ameliorate your bad feelings, if you want to not feel bad about this anymore, the solution is not to give up more of your money to streamers. It's hard for me, Jesus, it's hard for me to say this because I'm a broadcaster and I swear to God, there is someone, every time I say something like this, there's someone whose finger is lurking over that donate button. And when I'm like, You don't have to give streamers your money. They're like, oh, I don't? Hooray! I can use this to buy groceries. But you know what? That's okay. I think the thing is here, no one is at fault. And inclusion and money being tied up is all confusing and fucked up. And if you want to feel better about it, just hang out in streams with broadcasters who value your being there above and beyond whether you can pay or not. Be a good member of the communities you choose to engage in, and do not tie your self-worth to the amount of money you have. Tie your self-worth to the fact that you are a fucking kick-ass drummer and you are in one of the greatest rock bands of all time. You are not the contents of your wallet, right, Neil Peart? You have more to contribute to the world than just dollars, Neil Peart. I'm proud of you. And I'm glad that you are a part of our community. Our third question comes to us from a dear, sweet friend of mine, someone who I care about very much, and who I would like to, before I even answer this question, thank for participating in the show. Thanks, Elf. You're the best. The lovely and talented Distracted Elf asks, I adore emotional closeness, and who doesn't like a good cuddle? But further, I feel super uncomfortable going any further in a physical sense, making me feel like I'm only giving half of what I need to in any relationship I might be in. What advice can you give me in regards to this? So the thing I'm going to really focus on here, because it's a pet, I don't want to say a pet peeve. It is a thing I care about a great deal. The thing I want to focus on for Elf and for anyone else, it is okay to say no. Everybody just take a second. Whisper that out loud to yourself. Let's all remind ourselves of that. It's okay to say no. It is always okay to say no. Always. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, whether it's with a friend, a partner, someone you love, someone you barely know, anyone at all, it is okay to say, no, thank you. The people around you should be making this as easy as possible, which is part of what consent is all about, right? The idea that everyone should have the right to do only things that make them feel good. There is nothing about not wanting to do something sexy with anyone ever that makes you less valid as a person, as part of a relationship, as anything. Saying no to the things we don't want to do or don't want to have done to us is an inalienable right of all human beings. And when we get there, it's the right of all artificial intelligences and sentient ape men and carapace-encrusted insectoids. Listen, everyone is allowed to say no. Being seen as a lesser person or a lesser aspect of a relationship or any of that stuff is cruelty at best. So let's talk a little bit about not having sex. Let's talk a little bit about not having sex. It's great. It's awesome. Not having sex is fantastic. I spend so much of my time not having sex. I'm not having sex right now, and I'm having a blast. This morning, I woke up, I got out of bed, I did not have sex. I'm going to go this entire day without having sex. Most of my best friends, my colleagues, my neighbors have all not had sex with me, and it's been great and beneficial to our relationship. The vast majority of my interactions on a daily basis are judged on the qualities about them that are in the not fucking category. So yeah, Not having sex is totally a thing that people do all the time. However, sometimes when you are into someone in a more intimate way, whatever that might look like, and maybe you're spending a lot of time with them and the relationship is feeling close, there can be pressure to do the sex together. Now, that pressure can be external, right? The pressure that a relationship isn't real until you do the sex stuff, or that you have to consummate a relationship for it to really count for anything. The pressure can be internal too. One of the people in said relationship might want sex to happen and the other might not. Whatever the source, this can feel really bad and it can fuck things up in a lot of ways. So we need to talk about methods for relieving pressure. Not like that. Pervs. I find that when there's tension in a relationship, the best way to work through it is together, right? Talking about that stuff, acknowledging where the tension is coming from, and having that boundaries and desires talk. It can be hard when you're hearing someone ask you to do a sexy thing with them and you want to say no, but we need to practice having firm boundaries, right? Saying no gets easier the more you do it, and it feels better the more accepted that it is by the people you say no to. No is a fucking awesome litmus test for human beings. Let me tell you a story about somebody else that I think is great. Can we talk about that? All right, let me talk about somebody else that I really like. Their name is Andrew. Andrew is a great human being, and I love them very much. Andrew and I were on some panels. We were on a panel together at TwitchCon, and part of a mailing list about those panels. And I had a panel where a moderator was not able to take on moderation duty in this email thread. And I knew that I was already really busy, but I didn't want to say no because it might make everyone else feel bad or like they had to do work, and I didn't want to risk that the panel wouldn't happen. I was very, very tempted to say yes, even though I didn't want to, and I knew that it was unhealthy for me. I had to take some time and make sure I was doing the right thing for me, and in the end, I did end up being brave enough to say no because I didn't have time to prepare or I didn't have the energy to lead that panel. After I said no, Andrew went out of their way to say to me, "Hey, thank you for looking out for yourself. Thank you for saying no to something you didn't have the energy for." Giving me an emotional boost and reinforcing my saying no was really powerful for me. And it just reminded me that Andrew is a great human. It's really easy to be close to people who give you reinforcement for saying yes. Yes is already positive. Yes is easy. Yes is like, cool, you said yes. I agree with your yes. More yeses. Let's all yes together, right? But you know you've got someone really cool and special when they reinforce your saying no, especially when you say no to them. So if you are in that situation with someone, oh, elf friend of mine, and they're on the, hey, let's do the sex side of the equation, and you are on the, I don't want to have sex side of the conversation, seeing how they react to no thank you is a good way to know them. If it is anything less than bummer, but thank you for having clear boundaries, it's going to say something about that person that I think it is important for you to learn. All relationships should be made up of only things that everyone in those relationships want. If everyone wants ramen, eating ramen is a part of the relationship. If only one person wants to go mountain climbing is not part of the relationship. Same goes for sex. And I think that it's a great place to start, right? Just acknowledging that you don't have to do the sex things to be a meaningful contribution to a relationship. It seems like maybe you were feeling some guilt around this, like maybe you wish you wanted a thing more than you want that thing. If the pressure is external, if someone else is making you feel like a lesser because of this, that sucks and they suck and they need to get their shit together and be a decent human being. If you are feeling guilty because you want something, that is a harder place to be. I mean, that is a universal human experience, I think, right? I think we all know what it feels like to want things, but wanting to want them and feeling guilty about that, that is more insidious, but still pretty fucking universal. I think, sex or otherwise, we've all felt that before, right? Being with someone who wants something from us that we don't also want and feeling guilty and wishing we were different and being self-loathing because we don't want that thing. And that is a dark road because that's letting someone else's desires drive us through our lives, right? Being real about what feels good for you and learning to be okay with not pleasing others takes time and work. Being agreeable and not rocking the boat is very deeply socialized behavior, especially for women, especially around sex, right? So, hey, it's because we're friends, Elf. I would like to offer you, an opportunity to practice. I would like to offer you the chance to be reinforced for saying no. Hey, Elf, can I borrow $1,000? Hey, Elf, can you drive me to Regina? There's a deeper thing here about valuation in relationships being tied to sex. There are people for whom sex isn't just an uncomfortable proposition, but an out and out non-reality. I would suggest reaching out to and doing some research around the way asexual folks have relationships and what they do to work through these struggles. Which isn't to say that you need to identify as asexual, but sharing these struggles with people can be helpful. And I bet you the asexual community has some really good advice on how to have meaningful relationships that don't include sex. I'm just going out on a limb here. So, in summary, you're great. No relationship that anyone has with you has to include anything, even and especially sex. And nothing that you contribute is half anything. You are a worthwhile person to be in a relationship with. And I'm not saying this generally like about everyone. It is true about everyone, but Distracted Elf, I am speaking to you directly. As a person who is in a relationship with you, you are a person who is worth being in a relationship with. You have so much to offer as a person that has nothing to do with sex stuff, that if there is anyone who demands more from you that you are not willing to give, they don't deserve to be in a relationship with you. All right? And the next time you feel guilty, try to remember that. I think that you think highly of me and that you think that maybe I know what I'm talking about. So, like, listen to me when I say this. It's important. And the same goes for everybody else, right? Sex, I can't speak to you directly on this one because maybe I don't know you as well as I know Elf, but you can have deep, powerful, meaningful relationships with people without anything that you don't want being a part of them. It is always okay to say no. It gives context to the things that we say yes to, right? Without no, yes is meaningless. Thanks for coming, everybody. This has been episode number 7 of Office Hours, Hot for Teacher. It is a write-in relationship advice show. that might also sometimes be about role-playing games. If you would like me to spend 10 to 15 minutes talking about your emotional stuff, we can make that happen. I can do that for you. You just go to www.adam-koble.com and you click on that Hopfer teacher link and you fill out the form. And then that's where we'll go. It may take some time because y'all have a lot of feelings. And we're doing these things one week at a time. But that's how you get involved. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye for now.